About an hour after Kansas' 68-66 loss to Duke in the Champions Classic on Tuesday, KU beat writer Jesse Newell somehow found a quiet space at Madison Square Garden in New York to break down the game on SportsBeat KC, presented by Big O Tires. It's Wednesday, November 6th, and I'm your host, Blair Kerkhoff. Later, we'll hear from a Chiefs quarterback who has a passer rating over 100 this season. That's Patrick Mahomes and Matt Moore, who fall into that category. And one will start on Sunday at Tennessee. We'll hear from him. Okay, it's Matt Moore later in the show. But there was a big development at practice on Wednesday. Mahomes was listed as a full participant. That's big news. 2 practices and injury reports remain this week, but it's unlikely that a player listed as a full participant wouldn't play on Sunday. And if Mahomes plays, it'll be for the first time since dislocating his kneecap last month in Denver. But first, here's Jesse. Talking to Jesse Newell, who covered the Kansas 68-66 loss to Duke tonight. We're talking to him about an hour or so after the game. Jesse's going to be traveling tomorrow. And besides, I wanted to talk to Jesse while the game was still fresh in his memory. Jesse, only the second time in the Bill Self era that Bill Self team lost a season opening game. You know, the other one was out in Honolulu, right? It was against Indiana, and I remember that one being a little bit more of an artistic game than the one you saw tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. 28 turnovers. That's going to be the number that gets repeated over and over and over again for this Kansas team, but rightfully so. It's really difficult to win a game, any game, if you basically are handing the other team not only empty possessions, but giving them opportunities for points in transition. And we saw, what Cassius Stanley can do when he gets out on a fast break and can tomahawk jam, all those sorts of things. So it's sort of an interesting game, Blair, because I know with the Champions Classic, 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, we want to kind of come to grand conclusions about the season and about where these teams are going to go. But this is sort of an incomplete for me with this Kansas team, just because I think a lot of these turnovers, some of them were credit to Duke because Trey Jones had some good defense on the ball, and they did some creative things to kind of try to make KU's big men become playmakers. And obviously that's not a strength for either Sylvia DeSosa or David McCormick or Udoka Azubuike, but part of these were just bad plays by Kansas, like just fundamental things like OJ Abaji a couple times, not just pitching ahead on fast breaks. And so, I mean, I would love to just sit here and say turnovers and, pound the desk and say turnovers are going to cost Kansas the rest of the season. It's going to be the reason they don't go far. But I got to be honest, like in 1 month, I think that this game would have been 21 turnovers instead of 28 for Kansas because they would just do some more simple things correctly. And if that would have happened, they would have won the game. But that's not how it works out. And as you mentioned, KU drops to 0-1. That will only be temporary because obviously KU's got a game Friday, so they'll get in the win column here very shortly.
I thought one of the big plays late was a turnover. It was McCormick trying to bounce pass to Azubuike under the basket with KU. I think it was down 1 at the time. I can't remember how much time was left, but it was just such a poor decision to try that pass. I agree with you. Watching the game, just some of these mistakes, a lot of the unforced errors were just bad decisions on Kansas' part. Now, Duke was credited with, I think, 10 or 11 steals tonight, and 28 turnovers means that there were a lot of miscues by Kansas that weren't necessarily caused by Duke. I think Duke played a good game defensively, don't get me wrong, but Kansas, I think, finds itself in a position there where they got a lot to clean up.
Yeah, and here's an interesting stat for you, Blair. Last year, Duke was number 353 in the nation. There's 353 Division I teams when it came to non-steal turnover percentage. So almost all of their turnovers they forced were via the steal. And tonight you mentioned it, KU had 28 turnovers and only 11 of those were Duke steals. So this is a Duke team that when they don't get a steal for a turnover, they're not a team that takes a bunch of charges or that steps in that way or forces travels. They're a team that kind of just guards the ball. And if they don't get the steal right off of that, then normally teams don't turn it over. So I think that speaks to jitters. I think it speaks to guys being uptight and nervous and jittery. And you mentioned that David McCormick play. I mean, it was kind of a perfect encapsulation of what we were talking about, because if you go back and watch the film on this, Udoka Azubuike rolls to the basket. KU kind of has a very quick 2-on-1 situation. Bill Self said afterwards he wouldn't have minded if David McCormick shot the ball, which it would have been about a 5 or 6 foot baseline jumper. But if you watch Udoka, he rolls to the rim, and what's the first thing he does? He points up. He's saying, throw me the lob, throw me the lob. And you think about it, Udoka Azubuike is 7 feet tall, and if you're going 2-on-1, in kind of this very quick number scenario, then yes, you want your 7-footer with the 7'7" wingspan to go get the ball above the rim and not have to try to bend down and catch a bounce pass in the lane. And so that's exactly it. I mean, it sounds cliche to say, oh, this is good coaching tape for Bill Self, but this is exactly it. I just feel like they're going to go tomorrow when they're watching this film and Ochai Agbaji, when he's dribbling up the court and doesn't pass the ball immediately up ahead to Devon Dotson to take advantage of a 3-on-1 instead of doing it late and causes a turnover and Duke scores on the other end. I mean, that's the play that, that's a play that cost Kansas 4 or 5 points, and it could cost you the game. And so these just seem like very simple things, and these are things that Bill Self teams usually do not have happen, again, over the course of the season. So, I thought that play encapsulated it really well, and KU, if they make that play, they go up 1 instead of going down 1, had to foul Trey Jones, and he made 2 free throws. That was basically the ball game. So for Kansas, that really did kind of summarize the night for them, which was a simple play made hard and a turnover really costing them in the most crucial of moments.
And that Agbaji play that you talked about was a 5-point swing, right? That was a 3-on-1. That was a easy bucket for Kansas. Instead, I forgot who hit the 3 on the other end, but immediately hit a 3 on the other end, and I think that cut a Kansas lead to 1, where they could have increased their lead at the time. But on the other hand, look, Kansas comes out, they have 18 turnovers in the first half, and they're down only 3 because I thought Kansas played pretty good defense. Held Duke to a pretty low shooting percentage, had its own defensive pressure. I thought Kansas was the more athletic team, played some, just played pretty good defense. And then in the second half gets started, Kansas does a much better job taking care of the ball. They go the first 6-7 minutes without a turnover, and suddenly they're up 9. And so you're thinking, gosh, if this had been Kansas earlier, no telling what the lead would have been. But then 3 straight possessions with a turnover, some sloppy basketball. In that stretch, Duke got a couple of 3-pointers, and quickly a 9-point lead was down to 3. And then pretty soon after that, it was a Duke lead, and it was nip and tuck after that. So there's just no getting around. The story of this game for Kansas was the mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm kind of trying to do quick math here, Blair, in my head, but it's looking like KU had about 81 possessions, which is a pretty fast-paced game. So 66 points on 81 possessions. You're talking somewhere in the 0.7, 0.8 range, and college basketball, the average is about 1. So, like you said, there's no getting around that type of offense. I looked up for a full game last year, KU's worst mark was 0.83 in a loss at Iowa State, and this one was probably worse than that, looking at these numbers preliminarily. So you just can't win basketball games that way if you score at that poor of a level. And I thought you made a good point for KU defensively. I thought really they did some pretty good things on that end. The one thing that they still struggled with was that 4 position. Matthew Hurt freed himself up for some open threes. I thought he missed a couple that could have been daggers for Kansas, and they just kind of rattled out late, which maybe that would have turned the game into an 8 or a 10-point victory for Duke. But, all in all, David McCormick, 13 rebounds with 10 defensive rebounds. He cleared a lot of boards, made some good outlet passes. And then Marcus Garrett, he didn't finish a lot of his drives offensively. He was at least aggressive there and made some great off-ball plays, just really good instincts and help defense. So I thought you're right. The defense as a whole was really good to kind of keep them in this game. But, the fact of the matter is it's sort of like, in football, if you score 7 points, you're not going to win many games. For Kansas, this is kind of the equivalent of a football team scoring 7 points. You're just not going to remain in this one. And this kind of ended up being the equivalent of losing 10-7 or 13-7. And so KU will take the loss and move on from it. But like I said, I think the encouraging part here, if you want to look at bright spots, is that this wasn't KU getting overwhelmed talent-wise. This wasn't KU, doing some things that makes you question their rotation or their players. This was just KU doing some simple things absolutely wrong, and that's the sort of stuff that usually clears itself up with practice time.
Right, and so there was no Isaiah Moss tonight either. What's his status?
Yeah, Bill Self, he held him out with a hamstring injury. He said he could have gone tonight, but he just didn't want to push it. Those are the things that kind of can flare up back on you, and that's happened once with Isaiah already, is that he got back to practice and then, re-injured the play diving on the floor. So Bill Self hopes to get him back soon. Obviously, he's a floor spacer and could help out maybe kind of the crowded house inside if he's on the floor. But for right now, just taking precautionary measure. And, I think it's the right move. Again, it's Champions Classic. It seems like the whole sun and the moon in the world in one game. But Kansas needs Isaiah Moss for the long haul. They need him to be healthy for the long run here, especially since now they're down to 10 scholarship players with Mitch Lightfoot taking a redshirt for this season. So it's not worth going completely all out to try to just win this one game and have him re-injure himself, which has already happened in the past. So Bill Self said afterwards in the press conference that Isaiah Moss has really only been healthy for Kansas for 1 day. So they'll continue to try to work him into the rotation and see how quickly he can kind of step back in and contribute to this particular team.
Yeah, I thought about him in the first couple of TV timeout segments where Kansas didn't even attempt a three-pointer early against a team that they attempted 36 against in the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. But Kansas ends up 4 of 11 from behind the arc, and that wasn't much of a weapon for the Jayhawks tonight, and maybe a sign of things to come for this team that or perhaps when Enaruna and Brown get a little more playing time, we'll see some more perimeter play from the Jayhawks. But there was just so much of a drive and an effort to win the battle up front. And I don't think Azubuike and McCormick didn't do as much as you wanted to see offensively. They combined for Azubuike with 8 and McCormick with 6. They were great on the boards, like you said, with the combined for 22 rebounds. But I thought Kansas just had trouble getting the ball to them in good scoring positions, and so often that accounted for the turnover total for Dotson and Agbaji.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Blair. If you look at it, Duke was doubling inside, which was forcing the big men to make plays for each other. And then Bill Self even said this after the game. A few years ago against Kentucky when KU lost so badly, basically at the end of the game, he was just telling Tyshawn Taylor to go drive the ball because that was their only offense. And really that's what KU was resorting to at the end of the game with Marcus Garrett. And it was Marcus Garrett basically because Devon Dotson had a really tough matchup, Trey Jones, and he really couldn't shake him defensively or Devon Dotson offensively in this particular game. So, yeah, I left KU really searching for options, and they just couldn't find anything reliable down the stretch. If you can't get your big guys going and they can't take advantage of double teams and you don't have outside shooting, you're left to drive. And Marcus Garrett's not the guy you want to do that for Kansas if you have your choice between him and Devon Dotson. But, again, at least he tried. At least he wanted to go in there and looked aggressive with it, but not enough for KU. And actually the box scores have been kind of crazy here. The ESPN numbers weren't exact online, so KU was actually 4 for 9 in the official box score from three. So only 9 attempts out of 50. So again, this is a double-edged sword. If you play big and this is the way you want to go with it, then you're going to get more free throws. KU shot 26 free throws. You're going to shoot a decent percentage inside. You're going to maybe play pretty good defense, which is what Kansas did, and own the glass, which is what Kansas did. But you're not going to shoot many threes, and you have the potential for some turnovers. And so I think we saw basically all the facets of what two big ball looks like for Kansas in one game. And like we talked about, that ended up resulting in a very close loss.
Okay, hey, quick thought on Silvio De Sousa. His first game since the Final Four game of 2018. Finally saw him in action. 3 points, couple of 4 rebounds. You see him getting his playing time increasing as the season goes on?
Well, probably more than 7 minutes, but it's tough to tell. Right now, David McCormick is not great at guarding that forward position or guarding on the perimeter, but he's probably better than Silvio, and that doesn't seem like the case with the two particular body types. Silvio looks really kind of athletic and shorter, and it seems like he should be able to guard the perimeter, but that has not been his forte so far. And David is a little bit more lanky and a little bit more awkward with it, but it looks like he's trying hard and trying to shuffle his feet and a little bit more intense. So for Bill Self right now, David was the better option. And like I said, I think for the most part, what he's being asked to do, he played pretty well tonight. Some good outlet passes, some good rebounds. But for Silvio, I just think he needs to lock in on the defensive end. I mean, he can't play if he can't guard on the perimeter, and if he doesn't focus, he can't guard on the perimeter. So, 7 minutes tonight, and I would love to tell you it's going to go up, but he's kind of an awkward fit next to Doak, and until he can prove that otherwise, then minutes for him are going to be probably pretty tough to come by.
All right, Jesse. Hey, appreciate the time tonight, and safe travels back home.
Hey, I appreciate it, Blair. Thanks.
Big O Tires is rolling out Black Friday deals now to December 8th. Get limited time Black Friday savings on oil changes, brakes, car batteries, and more. You'll also save big on tires. How big? Buy 3 select tires, get 1 free with paid installation, including brands like Nitto and Cooper. Get 4 tires, but pay for only 3. Right now at Big O Tires during Black Friday deals only through December 8th. Interest-free financing available too. For your nearest participating location, go to bigotires.com.
Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. Matt Moore's football season started at Hart High School in Southern California, working with the quarterbacks. Moore had last played in an NFL game in 2017. He sat out last year and figured his playing days were over. But during the Chiefs' third preseason game, backup quarterback Chad Henne suffered a broken ankle. Chiefs general manager Brett Veach put in a call to Moore, asking him to fly to Kansas City to become the team's top backup to Mahomes. Moore was stunned to receive the call, but thrilled to be back in an NFL locker room. Seeing action would be a long shot. After all, Mahomes had never missed a snap in a game because of an injury. But the unexpected happened in Week 7 with the Chiefs visiting Denver. On a quarterback sneak, Mahomes suffered a dislocated right kneecap. Enter Matt Moore. The Chiefs finished off the Broncos, and Moore has started the 2 games since then, performing well. He's thrown 4 touchdown passes without an interception, and after the Chiefs fell to the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football, they came back to beat the Minnesota Vikings last week. In that game, Moore threw a beautiful touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, and he showed terrific poise on the Chiefs' final possession with completions to Travis Kelce and Hill that set up Harrison Butker's game-winning field goal. So it was Moore and not Mahomes who met the media on Wednesday at the Chiefs' training facility. Mahomes may start Sunday. Reid said he'll do more at practice this week, but it was interesting to hear from Moore, and we'll get his impressions of the season, playing for Andy Reid, and having Mahomes as a teammate. Here's Matt Moore.
You know, who's ever back there has a really good idea of what coach wants, and there's no questions. You go in feeling really good, so I think that's a big part of it.
Matt, I'm sorry if you didn't ask this before when you first got signed, but can you tell where exactly were you when you got the call that the Chiefs were interested in you, and you told your agent? What was that communication process like for you to know that you still had a chance to go back and you wanted to go back and play?
Yeah, I just got a phone call. I mean, I got out of the blue. I got a phone call and thought about it quickly and made that decision. There was no plan. There was no, we weren't doing anything to find a job, if you will. It just kind of happened.
Matt, who called?
Veach called first, and then Coach Reid.
Man, I know we mentioned this before, the circumstances of no OTA training camp, preseason games to get sort of your body ready. Because of your experience, what have you taken from that you can apply to keep your body as fresh as possible?
Yeah.
Playing in the middle of the season, understanding guys are trying to be physical.
Yeah. And then obviously, you do a lot of training in OTAs and training camp, which I didn't have. So I think instantly when I got here, I kind of got into that mode a little bit. And then especially when you start playing, the recovery is crucial. So that's been big, just trying to feel as good as you can every day. So it's an everyday thing, and the people we have here do a really good job of making sure you're in the shape you need to be in and feel the best you can.
Is there one trick you took from Carolina or Miami that you can apply here?
I don't know. I mean, in season, it's a different beast, you know what I mean? So I think you just go out and practice hard. I mean, that's going to probably be the best thing for you. Just practice as game-like as you can. I mean, there's no secret other than doing whatever you can do to feel your best.
Now, have they talked at all about what will happen when Patrick comes back?
No, we are kind of in the same pattern we've been in the past couple weeks. We're day to day and moving forward similar to last week. So practice wise, again, take advantage of the reps that you get and just kind of go that way.
Matt, have you played with a receiver in your career who's quite got the combination of skills that Tyreek does?
Man, he's a unique guy. There's not many guys out there like him. I've played with some good ones, but he's different, and to have him, to know he can track down any ball and use his speed and his talents to get open the way he does, it's a nice feeling knowing you got him out there.
Matt, you might have addressed this Sunday, but on the 3rd and 4 that set up the game-winning field goal, you connected with Tyreek. Can you just take us through what adjustments were made at the line?
Yeah. Not many. We had a really good play call on, and if anything, Tyreek, I think, just kind of sped up his route a little bit. He was aware It was a blitz. He was aware and kind of quickened it up, and it was a good target, and we hit him, and he did the rest. So nothing special, just good execution there.
And how much of that has just come from you knowing him a little bit too? I mean, at this stage, after a few games.
Yeah, it's nice. Early on you get to watch, and you try and pick up as much as you can about these guys, some of their style of play, how they play, and so I had that benefit of just watching for a little bit. But and then obviously being with them the past couple of weeks, you get to know quickly because it can benefit you as a quarterback. So I had anticipated that he was going to recognize that and quicken it up, and it's exactly what he did, and it was a big play for us.
When watching yourself back, were you impressed with that you were able to address some of the things that you noticed that first week of what you were able to do? You had noted that.
Yeah. There were some things that we corrected, and then you go back and watch, and now there's a handful of things that you got to correct again. You know what I mean? It's a never-ending battle that way. I think you're striving to get better every day. But yeah, we cleaned up some things, and obviously each game poses different issues, challenges, things to correct. So again, every day we're adjusting and adapting, trying to get better.
You said you've been kind of all ears to what Pat gives you during a game and what he sees. Over the last 2 games, has anything stuck out of what he's told you that you've gone out in a certain formation or play and it's actually happened the way?
Man, I wish I had a great story for you. It's all just little things, just tidbits, maybe formationally, coverage, maybe a way a DB's playing, things like that. Right now, at this moment, nothing stands out to me, but he's definitely been a help for sure.
And you mentioned it's been a little bit of a holding pattern on practice and taking it day to day. As we stand here like right now, do you know what your practice is going to be like today? Do you know how many reps you're getting with the ones?
I don't. I don't. I'm gonna go out and practice and prepare with whatever comes my way, and I think that's the approach I've taken for a while now, and that's the approach I'll continue to take.
Were you watching the game when Patrick got injured, and did it occur to you that this might happen?
I didn't. I was obviously watching. I didn't. On a quarterback sneak, I did not anticipate something like that. No. Naturally,
Once you saw that he was injured, did it occur to you that maybe I'll get a call and they'll want me to be the starting quarterback?
Oh.
Too far-flung an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I thought that. It's been wild. I've been trying to, like I said, day to day. That's the most honest answer I can give you.
Matt, tell us about Patrick as a teammate.
Phenomenal. For a young guy who hasn't been around, the leadership is off the charts. His relationships with all the guys is impressive. The way he communicates, the respect that he shows for everybody. He's what you want. It's really impressive to see.
Can you sum up the last couple of weeks here and what it may mean for you going forward?
Yeah, who knows? It's been a wild couple weeks. It's been fun. I've learned a lot. So it's what it means moving forward is I got to be ready to go at all times, and who knows what the future holds. In this league you never know. So I'm trying to be the best I can be every day, and that's all.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Links to the KU Duke and Chiefs stories can be found in the show notes. We also have apps, KU Hoops and Red Zone Extra, for additional coverage. Thanks to producer Leah Becerra for putting together today's show. We'll drop another SportsBeat KC on Thursday, and this one will originate from our sponsor, Big O Tires. We'll talk to you then.